Hello, everybody. Happy Thursday. It is almost the weekend, and depending on where you are, you might be closer to the weekend than we are, which would be, that's really nice. I'm looking forward to it. Today, we are here with Emily. She is our marketing intern. She's been with us on the PMPro team since, I think, like June or July last year. And she's getting ready to finish out her senior year of high school. About to graduate. Go, Emily. It's really exciting. But today, she's been primarily, since she started, she's been primarily handling our social media and doing various research projects for us in the background as well. Today, we're going to bring you the social media strategy that Emily's been working on and kind of dive into the steps from finding out what kind of content you're going to create all the way to how to publish it and where you should publish it to get your members a little bit more active and get your brand out there. So Emily, I will go ahead and share your screen and I'll let you take it away. That way you have close to the full hour. And as I see questions pop in, I will likely interrupt you.
Okay, that's all good. Well, hi everybody. I'm Emily Koch. Like Sam said, I'm the marketing intern here at Paid Memberships Pro, and I've been here for a little bit over 6 months, which is very exciting. And I'm ready to graduate high school. I'm going to Drexel in the fall for marketing. And I've been working in social media for the past about 3-4 years now. So I've had 2 other internships managing other social medias for brands. But I also run the social media for my 501c3, the Be Inspiring Foundation. So that's how I learned, and I learned how to grow on social media because that was the channels I had to promote my nonprofit. So I've been in the position of a lot of small business owners, and I understand how to, and I've had to learn how to use social media and use this tool to benefit a small audience and then turn it into something larger. So I'm very excited to share with you some strategies that have been working for us and how to social media 101. So, all right, I'm ready to start. There we go. Can you see my screen? Is everything still all good?
Yep, everything looks good.
Awesome. Okay. So there we go. So I've broken this presentation down into 4 bullet points. The preparation work before you even start posting on social media, if you haven't done so already. The process of which we manage our social media here at Paid Memberships Pro, the creation aspect and actually creating the content for your social pages, and then how to measure success and what success looks like in terms of our metrics here at Paid Memberships Pro, but also how you can apply that to your membership site. Okay, so where to start? If you haven't even posted on social media before and you have absolutely no idea what you're doing, here's what I would recommend. Before you even start posting, I would define your goals and what you want to focus on. Before you even post a video or a single photo, you have to know why you are there. And without a goal, you can't really measure if what you're doing is successful. The acronym SMART goals gets talked a lot about. Ensure goals are specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time bound. So how do we set those SMART goals and goals with intention? And being very specific about what you want to focus on and putting purpose into those goals. For example, a goal, but not a very specific goal, is something like I want more followers versus focusing on I want to gain 10 new followers every month and so on and so forth. I want to get X number of people to click on my membership site from my social media. Those are the goals that will actually see if you're using social media to your benefit because they're specific and something you can actively track, which we'll talk about later in the presentation. And ensure that all social media goals align with your overall business or personal brand objectives. A really good example of that here at Paid Memberships Pro is we really focus on putting value in things, right? Everything we do is built on our core values. So our social media should reflect that because that's what we put into our audience and we put into the people who are using our plugin. And then choosing metrics that align with those specific SMART goals. Metrics are the data points, whether you're hitting your goals or you're not. And I would highly encourage to not get distracted by vanity and metrics. So when we were doing our dry run, Sam shared a very insightful piece of conversation that you brought up in a meeting with, I believe, Derek, about the difference between vanity versus value goals. So an example of a vanity goal or goals are metrics that everybody can see on your platforms, right? For example, likes and comments, right? That's something every person who interacts with your page can see. And those aren't always the best determinant of if social media is working for you. What you can't see behind the scenes are the views and the people who are clicking on links from your post. And that's really what's driving the engagement. So taking the focus away from what looks good versus what is actually, what metrics are actually being met to achieve the goal of bringing more people to my membership site, right? That's what we want to be focusing on. Looking for engagement rates, of course, but also click-through rates and conversations that are happening in your comment section, and engaging with those that tell a real story by real people, not just bots. And then people who are viewing your channel. Are people actually watching the video all the way through? Those are the metrics that aren't as readily available to the public eye but those are the metrics that determine if the content you're actually posting is successful, right? And then reaching impressions, how many people saw it, which is very good for awareness. Of course, we want people to be liking and commenting on our videos, but again, that's not always the goal all the time. It is about making sure that those same people are coming back into our community and making sure more and more people are actually looking through it and watching it. And then understanding your audience, right? So your content has to, was that a dog barking? I can't see. Yeah. I thought that was like a gust of wind or something, because the weather is so cold here in Pennsylvania and I'm so tired of it, but I digress. And then obviously understanding your audience. If you have a paid newsletter, you already have a pre-established idea of who you're marketing towards and who your goal of the person you're trying to reach is, right? And then when you're creating your social media strategy, it should be reflective of that. For example, our brand persona here, our target buyer is, we call her Donna, someone who is maybe not having incredible amounts of experience with technology, but someone who is willing to put in the time and someone who also believes in our core values. And that's the person, anytime I'm making content for here at Paid Memberships Pro, that I align my content with. Right? And understanding their age, their location, their gender, and then using that to determine which type of content should I be posting, which type of platform should I be posting on. A really good example of that is if you're engaging with professionals, LinkedIn is going to be the social media for professionals. And if you're engaging with a younger audience, utilizing new forms of social media like TikTok, Instagram, and using that trendier content to build your brand persona, because that's the person you're making content for, versus if you're making content for a slightly older demographic or a more professional demographic using Facebook, LinkedIn, platforms where the people and the audience you're trying to engage with are already living, right? And then finding inspiration in your own niche. So I'm going to go ahead and open up this link here. So before I took over, share this tab instead. There you go. So before I took over as the social media manager, or before I started posting on social media here at Paid Memberships Pro, the first thing I did was I went through all of the social media that we were going to be posting on, and I looked for inspiration and trends I liked in the niche I was getting ready to post content for. So this is an example of a doc I made for our Instagram. And I literally pulled various accounts that I liked or content that I liked and certain trends. And I wrote into detail about what I liked about them and how we can recreate that here at Paid Memberships Pro. Again, a whole bunch of trends that I liked, trends that were either very short-lived on the platform or trends that have a longer life on the platform. I differentiated that in the notes, and then anytime I'm lacking inspiration for my content, this doc is the first place that I check back to, because it's content that people in our niche are actively engaging with. So of course, we not copying them, but using them for inspiration or reference to help better strengthen our strategy here, right? There we go. Back to the presentation. Okay. So here's a little step-by-step of our recording process, not only for Reels, but also for our graphic content or our text-based post. So first thing I do, the way that we've been doing our content here, normally at the beginning of the last week of every month, so like the fourth week of every month, what I'll do is I'll start researching and observing current trends on the platforms I want to engage with, looking into what's doing well, looking into trends that are going around that we can recreate here, and ideas in niche that I want to take inspiration to, or the team wants to take inspiration to. Sometimes Kim will send me a really funny reel that she wants to recreate, or Sam will have an idea, and we'll talk out our ideas in our chats. Then what we'll do is, primarily I'm the one writing scripts for short videos to be shared with Kim, but sometimes and Kim is very good at recording reels on her own and making content, or she'll write them and then we'll collaborate, or sometimes we'll collaborate. I list all of the ideas out on Trello, and with dates, times, and descriptions for all of the content pieces, and I'll get into that and why that's important in a little bit coming up. And then I'll schedule either time with Kim to record videos, or she'll actually record the videos and send them to me herself, considering she's mainly featured on our channel. But recently, I know Sam has been doing some videos. I just did a video, so that's towards the end of the week. That's the time where we'll actually create the video. Okay, organizing content ideas. I'm a very type B person, and I'm a very like ADHD brain. I have so many ideas for content, but I have no idea where to put it. The most important thing for anyone who's like that is having a way to organize your content, right? So everything is organized on our Trello. We at Paid Memberships Pro, we love Trello. I do not believe we're shared or we're sponsored by Trello. But if anyone on the Trello team is watching this, that would be phenomenal.
But I do eat, live, breathe on Trello. Every bit of work is there.
So this is what our social media Trello looks like. Right now, it looks a little bit bare because everything to this point has been published. So yay me, doing my job right there. But I'll put pending ideas over here. So anything I write while I'm creating content that I don't know that I want a second opinion on, or I want Sam to read over before I send it in, I'll put that over here on this card. All of our events are organized into one separate column for Trello. For example, all of our open office hours, all of the coding with Sam, everything that I know needs to get out will live on this Trello, I guess, board, or is it column? Board column that I know will need to get out because we have an event coming up. And then everything, once I'm done writing content, I'll put everything on its designated Trello card and then all I have to do from there is copy and paste it into our buffer account, which I'll talk about in a little bit. A really good example of what content should look like before it gets out here. Make some time for in-person work. This is something that Kim posted. All of our labels for the social media platforms we'd like to publish on are right here. It has a date, which is very important. And then this is a link to the account. And usually I'll put on a caption that I've written here. I don't know why I didn't do that for that one. That is my bad. But it's the easiest way to organize anything you want to do. But if you do not have Trello, a really great option is either Notion or Monday. I use Notion in my personal life for like calendars and basic planning for my school assignments. So I really love Notion. It's another great alternative. I know there's a brand called Monday, and it's very similar to Trello. Before this, I did create a free account just to see, because I was looking into other alternative options just in case. And it looks very great and very similar to Trello. But before we started using Trello for social media, I did attempt to make, I did take it from a template. I did make a social media content calendar on Docs. And while it is an absolutely beautiful template and it looks great, we really found that using one of the organizational apps, so-called, or the task manager apps, was really beneficial for our team, so we could collaborate and we can move cards around. So that would be my recommendation. I also highly recommend to keep everything you're doing digital and in one place. And this is coming from someone who only takes paper notes for everything. If you're working in a team, especially like here at Pay Memberships Pro, it will be trying to have physical copies of papers and notes, not your best idea. So I would highly recommend looking into one of those content organizational apps if you don't have them already for your paid newsletter, especially if you're working in a team.
And Emily, just to pause you real quick, I do want to call out Kim's comment that she just posted. Kim said, some of these processes might seem like they're only needed because we're a multi-person team, but I can't stress enough the importance of having systems even as a solo creator. And that is so true. It is one thing that Kim and I will probably like always shout from the mountaintops of. I'm a big supporter of having SOPs. Even if I'm the only one doing the process in the team, there is an SOP around my work. That way, if and when somebody else joins, the process is documented. So exactly what Kim said, I can't stress it enough. She can't stress it enough. There is a lot of collaboration that happens in our social media that Emily is explaining. But even if you are a one-person team, having systems in place is so important for when you grow and you're no longer a solo creator.
100%. Absolutely agree. I was just stressing emphasis on, especially if you're working in a team, because I know if you're trying to pass ideas back and forth like we do so regularly, if you're not organized with your content, and this is something I've had to learn, this is not a call out to anybody but myself. So I'm making it known that I've learned this on this presentation right now. If you are not organized with your content, it makes it so much harder to organize down the line. So I would highly recommend, if you are going to start posting on social media, if you are ready, or if you have already started posting on social media, that you implement some sort of organizational tool in your practice already, if you have not. And then going into the actual content creation, writing a viral reel. Now we're moving into the content creation, so I'll talk about not only reels, but also text-based posts and graphics. So writing a viral reel. Now, here's what I'm going to say. AI is a very helpful tool for writing a reel if you have no idea where to start, right? Because writing a viral reel is less about luck and it's more about engineering this engagement, right? So I've broken it down into about 3-4 points. The first step is the 3-second hook of every video you see. If you've been on social media, you'll notice if you're scrolling on either if it's YouTube Shorts or if it's Instagram or TikTok, the first thing a creator will say to you is the thing that you're going to remember from the video, right? You have roughly 3 seconds before a viewer swipes away. So your hook either has to be visual, auditory, or text-based, right? Either something has to be happening in that initial clip, You have to say something that's very engaging, or you have to have some sort of fun text or graphic to pull in your audience, right? And if you get your audience to stay past that 3-second mark, that's how you know if you'll have a successful video, right? An example of a really engaging hook is "Stop doing X" or "The secret to Y," or some high energy visual movement right away at the start. So we published a reel that Kim was zooming in, right, with her finger, and it made the screen larger and it looked really cool. And that video did well because it had that first 3 seconds of eye-popping engagement, right? And then once you get your audience to stay, this is the meat, right? This is like the meat and potatoes of the post. And your goal here is retention, right? Keeping them watching. Every reel should include either an educational aspect, it should be entertaining, or it should be made to inspire, right? We want, again, our content to have purpose and value, like we do with everything else we do here at Paid Memberships Pro. But also remember, having engagement and meaningful content is great, right? But keep that content fast-paced. If a clip can be just half a second shorter, cut it. I would highly recommend to keep your reels under 30 seconds if you absolutely can. And then when you post a video, right, and you see people who are engaging with that meaningful content, engage back with your audience. We've started asking our audience to comment certain words or phrases in the description to keep them interacting, right? A little thing about the algorithm on any social media, it loves watch time, right? Because the goal is to keep you on social media, right? So if someone's watching your reels twice, it's a massive signal to not only the algorithm, but also to the other people that this content is worth watching, right? And the main goal is to keep people hooked and to make people want to watch it again and again, right? And shares and saves are, in my opinion, the new form of likes. And asking your audience at the end of the video to save it for later or to share it to a friend who needs it, to not only keep the person who's first initially seeing this video watching, but also to share it to other people, to get them to watch it. That's how you know if your video is doing well. And just in touching on the third point of keeping it short and under 30 seconds, if you have more to say in your content, put it in the caption, right? I would recommend keeping a short video, so an under 30-second video, and then keeping a long caption, right? Because you can also read while you're watching, and that brings us to a really great point. In my opinion, a great test to see if your reels are good, right, and will do well, if you can turn the volume off on your reel and it's still engaging and it's still entertaining, that's how you know if you have a good reel. And the same is true vice versa. If you can put your phone down and just listen to the audio of it, and the audio is engaging enough, that's how you'll know if you have a really great video. And that leads us into the editing of the video to ensure that you can do that and you can turn off the sound and it's still an equally interesting video, right? Actual process of editing reels. A staple for every video you're posting on social media is going to be your captions and then having some sort of background track, right? For the videos where Kim is, or anyone is primarily talking for a long period of time, we use Descript. In my opinion, that's the most user-friendly for anyone who's just starting out, because it's a very straightforward process to be able to cut down on video and to add captions and music, right? So I actually have a Descript tab pulled up. There we go. Hi, me. This is the video. This is the video I posted on social media about the promo for the open office hours. All you have to do here in Descript to get rid of content is you highlight it, and then Descript will automatically pick up that you want to get rid of that content, and you can backspace to it, and you can edit it very quickly. And then making sure you're putting on both captions, which are right here, they'll auto generate, and also having background tracks. If you go into elements, clips, or if you go into media here and you put in audio, you have a bunch of royalty-free music to choose from. The royalty-free music is also very important to mention, because if you're posting on, especially on YouTube Shorts, and you use a copyrighted audio, it will flag your video, and that's no fun, and it will take it down. So make sure the music that you're using is royalty free, right? And then for more of our quote unquote trendier videos, if you've ever seen a video on especially TikTok and Instagram Reels and YouTube, those are like the main trends that I'm seeing that really promote trends. If you ever see a video and you're like, how do all of these videos look the same? Like, what app are they using? 99% of the time they're using CapCut templates. So if you're on CapCut, which is a completely free account, what you do is you go to this little tab over here called templates, right? And you have all of the templates to choose from. That also cuts down on time for you to edit your videos, because again, using a pre-made template, it's still that meaningful content, but it's using a trend. It's using something that people are already familiar with to engage with your content, and it keeps you wanting to stay on the platform longer, right? And it cuts down on your time as someone who's making the content, so you can get back to all the things you have to do when you're managing a paid newsletter, right? Ooh, sorry. I just totally lost my train of thought there. All right, there we go. And then a really important reminder, when you're using either trends or you're using a pre-made template, remember to, of course, keep your branding. This is just marketing 101. At Paid Memberships Pro, anytime we film a video on either Descript or we're editing it on CapCut, we always make sure to use the same Poppins font and the same blue coloring to, again, build that recognizability with our audience. That's just marketing 101 from what I've learned in internships. And it's applicable to everything you do. And of course, that is also being social media. And then actually publishing content it's a beast in itself. But what we do here is we use Buffer, which I highly recommend either using Buffer or a third-party app. A really good or a really popular alternative is Hootsuite, but I've also looked into Sprout Social, Metricool, I believe is how you pronounce it. That's dealer's choice, but I would highly recommend implementing that, right? Because social media isn't a 24/7 job if you're using a content scheduler, right? With Buffer, we can schedule content months in advance, which of course is very useful, right? We can upload posts for an entire week, for an entire month. And also just from the humanity and humility aspect of it, I know someone when it comes to especially my 501c3 or the content I'm posting here on Paid Memberships Pro, right? I scroll, and it can be overwhelming initially if you're constantly scrolling and comparing yourself, and having that third party, for lack of a better term, buffer, is very useful in, and in protecting your mental state, so you're not always associating on social media and you don't get driven and obsessed with things like likes or comments, and comparing yourself to other content. Also, Buffer is really cool because it allows you to post at peak times, which the algorithm already recognizes, or Buffer's algorithm already recognizes, right? Times where you're most active, where you may not be active yourself, working. So you can post and schedule this content even when you're not actively there, right, at your computer. Also, it is truly the best way to publish content. You have regular hashtags on there. You have all of your content in one place. And Buffer is also really cool because it tracks analytics, which I know for a fact that Hootsuite does. I'm not entirely sure about other third-party platforms. That is, again, something that you and your paid newsletter you have to make those decisions when you're publishing. But I really like Buffer, and I think it's a great platform to use. But either way, I would highly recommend publishing all of your content there. Actually, I'll head over to Buffer right now so you can. Wow, I cannot.
And just a note, most of these platforms that do help you publish social media are going to come with some kind of cost. So it's important just to do your research on your own budget and kind of figure out what resources you really need as far as what social media scheduling platform is in your back pocket. But like Emily's saying, it is really important because without it, social media is a 24/7 job, and you do get sucked down the scrolling. The doom
scroll. Yep, there we go. Doom scrolling. Doom scrolling, it does not do you any good. It will not help your content because you will just, after a while on social media, your brain can turn to mush. So protect yourself from that and use an S scheduler app. So this is our Buffer here at Paid Memberships Pro. Look at all those social channels, and you can see that everything is scheduled and ready to go out. And also, I really like the calendar view. It helps me conceptualize things. Also, I don't know if I've mentioned this, and it's a little sporadic of a comment. When I talk about social media, a lot of people ask me, well, how often should I be publishing, right? You do not have to publish every single day. It will drive you crazy. That's all I'm going to say right there. That should be enough of a reason to not have to publish every day. Also, again, making sure your content is good and everything you do has value. It really is the difference between quality over quantity. Posting quality content is far more important than having a post every single day or posting multiple days or posting multiple times in a day, right? It's excessive. You do not need to do that because it will drive you crazy. So anytime you want to make a piece of content, it has the caption for you right there, and you can see all of your community, and you can analyze. And I'll go a little bit more into the social media analytics there, but it has everything you need in one place, and also multiple people can collaborate and publish content on at least Buffer. Boom. Okay. And now talking about carousels, post, and graphics, right? I highly would recommend using Canva. It's the one everybody talks about, right? When it talking about creating graphics or creating content, because it really is just that good. Because of pre-made templates, again, it saves you time. And as someone like myself, I do not have a graphic design background. I am not even in college yet, right? It is very user-friendly, even if you have little to no design experiences. But something I would caution you on is that social media is starting to move away from these carousel-y type posts or these graphic posts, and don't rely on carousel posts to carry your feed. What is actually going to improve your feed or improve your engagement and the people who are viewing your content, right, is Reels, because that's what I don't know how to explain it other than that's the content that people are watching, right? That's the type of content that gets people to stay on the same page as you, right? And that is what will translate onto other people's feeds who are not already involved in your community or who have not yet heard or who have not heard about your platform or who do not already follow you, right? So, but of course, if you're posting something like information about a sale, right, or you're posting a photo of a team trip, right, that content is still important. It's a good rule of thumb to not rely solely on stationary posts, right? So here's a few of the graphics that I have made on Canva personally. Look at that. Again, you can keep all of your branding elements in one place because you do have all of your text and your fonts and your colors there already, right? Your branding colors. So I would say 90% of the people that I've talked to who do social media have used Canva very regularly. So that's my recommendation. Also talking about text-based posts, right? I talked a little bit in the presentation earlier about how LinkedIn or using social media, right, to find your audience, right? And if you are engaging with an audience, again, of very strictly professionals, these text-based posts are going to be your best bet, right? These text-based posts are best for LinkedIn and also X or Twitter. And here's what I'm going to say, right? If you write a really great text-based post, you can so easily turn that into a reel. You can use it as the script for your reel, and then that way you're, for lack of a better term, killing two birds with one stone, but you're using the same engaging content because it's a very similar content pattern of what does well, right? The best type of text-based post, they have a shocking line in the beginning of this description, right? And then it gets into more of the content there and the meat and potatoes of the content, and that's where it has the value, right? So I have pulled a really great example from Kim. Now, I have not written any of Kim's personal LinkedIn post, but she really is the best at when it comes to the LinkedIn post, right? So if you see here, how LinkedIn works, if you're not already on the platform, it will give you a little blurb of the post that you have to click on. And she consistently puts a little blurb of something shocking that you wouldn't expect someone to write, right? So here's a post from her. Paid Memberships Pro is not the best membership plugin. So me as the audience, I'm like, well, what do you mean it's not the best membership plugin? Yada, yada, yada. And that's what gets me to click on the content, right? And then it explains a little bit more of what she means here in the actual context of the post. And also when you're making a text-based post, anything you really want to emphasize on is best going to be done in bullet points, right? Because that's it's a break from all of the text and all of the main points you're trying to communicate with your audience or the things that you want them to be left with at the end of the day will be in the form of bullet points, right? So this is a full LinkedIn, well, it's about half of a LinkedIn post, but just so you can get the idea of how it's structured, right? And if you have a great LinkedIn post and it's doing well on either Twitter or it's doing great on LinkedIn, you can easily take this and put it into a script for a reel and record it and then post that as a reel on platforms that really support and engage with the reels like Instagram and TikTok and YouTube Shorts. Okay. Social media analytics, right? This is how we deem if something is successful or it's doing well, right? First thing I'm going to say, take every bit of analytics just with a grain of salt, right? Because it's not always going to be linear. Sometimes it it varies, right? So you can't always, they're not always reliable, but it is a good idea of if your content again is being engaged with or it's doing well. I talked about how Buffer does have a section to analyze social media posts, and it does that for all of your platforms. Even if it's like a Facebook, LinkedIn, you can get all of the stats and data from those posts. And if you're not using a third-party app, you can also get the social media analytics directly from the app. And again, this is tying back to setting those realistic goals. Am I hitting these realistic goals I set for myself at the beginning of the month, over the span of 3 months, over the span of 6 months, right? And that's, you can't always compare your personal social media or a social media for a small brand compared to these huge influencers, right? If you're seeing the engagement and you're gradually seeing an increase in the people who are engaging with, and also you're engaging with the type of people you want to engage with, people who also share your brand mission and your values, right? That's how you know if you're successful, and you should keep going with the type of content you're making, right? So what actually is making a feed successful? Purposeful, again, talked about it a little bit in the beginning, is this.
Emily, just a quick note, sorry. We are seeing the presentation, but it's actually inside Canva and not the presentation view anymore.
Oh, that is so much fun.
There you go.
There we go. My bad. Sorry about that. So what actually makes a feed successful, right? Again, is all of your content purposeful? Is your post either informing? Is it making your audience laugh? Or is it adding to your niche, right? And not just posting filler content or content because I feel the need to post content on social media, and I want to have a lot of content on social media, but it isn't adding anything to my brand message. If all of your content is purposeful and all of it will serve a purpose to your audience or your niche, that's the first tell if your content is going to be successful, right? And then of course, are people engaging? Are people coming back to the video? Are the same people coming back to your content, right? And then the growth, is your post starting to gradually get more engagement? Are more people starting to watch the content I'm making, right? That is how you determine if your content is doing well. And if you're hitting all of those 3 points, I have no doubt in my mind that you will be successful. Also, again, with everything, social media is trial and error. Sometimes you will post something and you will think it is the best content and it will get 0 likes. It will get 1 like and it's from your mom. The only person watching your content is your mom. That has happened before, and it's okay.
Speaking of which, I think your mom is watching.
Yeah, oh, absolutely. I'm waiting for the comment in the live stream of like, go Pookie. Sometimes your mom is the only one who's going to watch your open office hours, and that is okay, right? And then you'll post something the next day and you're like, and it's some silly, goofy content, and that's the post that's gonna get 1,000 people watching it. That has happened before, definitely. It was actually a video with Sam, and it was this parody of this meme that has been floating around social media of like the 1, 2, 1, 2, 3, release them. And it literally took us like 30 seconds to record, right? And that was the video that got like 2,000 views, and you're like, oh, okay, all right.
And I learned a lot about TikTok that day.
There we go. And that did really well on TikTok, and that is sometimes what happens to you, right? So again, but everything we've posted here at Paid Memberships Pro is purposeful, even if it is a little bit silly and goofy and unconventional. But that's how we determine if it's successful, and that's how I firmly believe that you should take that and run with it, and then apply that to the content you're making, right? And that is how you achieve success. So I have wrapped up a little bit early, featuring the only photo I have ever taken at my internship. I have that one photo, and that is it. I think I talked a little bit fast, so we do have some time for questions, or this is the part that I hand over to Sam, the hostess.
You don't know what to do? No, I'm just kidding. While we wait to see if anybody does pipe in with questions, just to be silly and throw it out there, your mom did say, I'm always watching Pookie Dookie. So, you know.
Thanks, Mom.
We are human first. That is the first core value at Memberships Pro. So had to throw that out there. But I will also go ahead and share my screen, and if people have questions, they can throw them in. But in the meantime, I'm just going to go over our upcoming events that we have next. So February is actually a little light on the schedule, and that is because the last week of February, myself and another marketing team member is going to Austin, Texas for the New Media Summit, which I'm super stoked for. And I'm hoping we can come back with a bunch of new marketing ideas. So that will be exciting, but that is why there's nothing the last week of February. Our next event is exclusive to our Slack community. It's at 9:30 a.m. Eastern on the 17th. It's an open co-working hour. For this one, I'm doing something a little bit new where there is a Slack post in the community channel, and I need people to give me a thumbs up, a comment, something to RSVP for the event. If I do not get 2 or more RSVPs, I will be canceling the event. We do want this to grow as a community and for you guys to get online and talk to one another about your projects and how PMPro's team can help you and all of that. But we need people to show up. So to not waste your time or our time, I do need RSVPs for that open co-working. You do have to be in the Slack channel to RSVP, and you have to be in there to also get the Google Meet link if the event is still on. On the 20th, I will be back with a Coding with Sam. I know the last one, Christy took over for me, and she did an amazing job, but I will be back on the 20th. And if you want to know what I'm coding at 9 a.m. Eastern on the 20th, again, the Slack community is the place to find that out the day prior. And I'll put a link for the Slack community in chat before we sign off. And I think everybody is just trying to process everything that you said, Emily, because everybody's cooking.
There we go. So either that means I did really good or I did really bad. Phenomenal. No in between.
No, I have found that the live streams that we have where we're just like throwing a bunch of information at people at once, which I know can be overwhelming for them, but those are the ones that the audience is usually a little bit quieter because they're trying to like process everything. And as I say that, we have a question come in. So Robert from Quinte Landlords would like to know, how long should a Facebook post be and how much text is too much?
Love this question. Actually, I'm going to do a quick Google search, but Facebook has a longer character limit than most social media platforms. So you can put more in the description there, right? If I'm on Facebook, I would rather see a simple graphic or a simple and short video under 30 seconds, and then taking that and then anything that I have left to say about my topic, put that in the description and make that the long part of the content, which is something we've had to do. And I'll write a big long script and I'll cut that down. And then the actual piece of what I'm saying is only about 15 seconds, 20 seconds long. And then all of that extra content, about a paragraph or two, is left in the description. So how long should it be? That is up to you. Of course, using and talking about the content that makes sense, right? And talking about, and of course, don't just type to type, making that caption purposeful, right? And making that text purposeful. But if you have a lot to say and it's important to your audience, say it. Because Facebook especially does not have it has a very large character limit. Facebook caption character limit. Yeah. I'm going to go ahead. Oh, I can't share my screen. Oh no, you took away my screen sharing privileges. It has thousands of character limits. So absolutely take your time there and make the most out of your caption on Facebook.
I did also Google how long should Facebook post be, like exactly Robert's question. Just because every social media platform, it has varying suggestions of how long it should be. And like, just because you might have a character limit of, I think X at least used to be like 200 character limit. I don't know if they still are or not, but you don't necessarily want to use all 200 characters. Sprout Social from Google AI answers there, according to Sprout Social, they said that posts with 40 to 80 characters on Facebook see the highest engagement rate. But I also have seen Facebook posts that I even get sucked down into that are literally like a book. It is a wall of text that I am scrolling for days on my phone. And it sucks me in, and I will read it. So it's really more about what Emily was saying at the beginning of understanding your audience and knowing what they want, how they want to digest it. There was another comment from Swagnilla Ice that said, I stick with text posts for sharing my blog posts to social media. And that is totally fine. That's what we used to do. When I was in charge of PMPro social media back when I started like 4.5 years ago, I started kind of more similar in Emily's position of managing the social media. And that's what we did. We did text-based posts, even on X, Facebook, all of the different feeds for sharing our blog posts, the ones that made relative sense to share publicly. But it's really going to be up to your audience and knowing your audience. That's a big one. If you don't know your audience, that's a good first step.
I will say, from the perspective of someone who's younger, right? And if you're making content for a younger audience of teenagers, which is I, 9 times out of 10, just saying, most teenager is not going to sit there and read. 9 times out of 10. Again, sometimes you get sucked into the content. But if you're making content for a more mature audience, I would argue they're more likely to sit there because they have the patience that the younger folk do not. So then if you want to write a novel in your Facebook post, then that is the place to do it, right? So it really just depends. It is a case-by-case scenario. But if you have a message to share and you think it's important and relative to your audience, don't be afraid to put it all there, because someone will read and engage with it.
And that was Emily's nice way of calling me old.
Unk. Yep.
Yeah, and your mom also said it will depend on your audience who is on social media. It really does.
Thanks, Mom. Thanks for that.
Perfect. Well, we do not have any other questions coming in, and I know we're a little bit early to end, but I'm always okay with that because normally these run even longer than an hour. So we will give the audience a little bit of a reprieve from our jibber jabber. Oh, another question. From Robert, we just started doing Facebook posts. What are the most effective methods to build followers on Facebook and LinkedIn?
Loaded question. But I would recommend, if I was the person making content for you in your social media manager and you were specifically focusing on Facebook and LinkedIn, I would make a good majority of text-based posts, right? Because those are the platforms where that type of content is going to be engaged with more so. So I would focus on making text-based posts. And also something I've noticed, just again, doing social media for various audiences. On Facebook, people like to engage with people, right? People like to see the behind the scenes of what your team is doing, and they like that humility aspect, right? And seeing that there are faces behind the social media account. So if you have a team member who's willing to share their favorite thing about your company or your paid newsletter, that would, I'm not going to say that would definitely get a lot of engagement, but that is the type of posts that people are more likely to engage with on Facebook. And that is the platform, LinkedIn and Facebook, to write a lot and to have a lot of your content in the form of text-based, right? I talked about all of these different methods for posting reels and content and Canva graphics, and it can be very overwhelming, right? But ultimately, you have the content, right? It's just about knowing how to present it to your audience, and you already have that, right? So don't feel overwhelmed by that. Just utilize it and use it in the forms that they're more likely to engage with, which is more text-based, which is photos, and that is more of that engagement aspect. So I would say for you, just on that little description that you gave me, about 50% of your post should be text-based. 30 to 40% of your posts should be talking about your team, talking about your message, right? And then only focusing your attention 10% on reels, because they're going to get engagement, but not in the same level as if you were primarily focusing your attention on Instagram or TikTok or YouTube Shorts.
And knowing a little bit about Robert's use case being that it is for landlords and it's an association for landlords, we are talking about that more mature audience, aka old people. I'm just kidding. I don't think I'm that old. I mean, compared to 18, but but you do have that more mature audience. So there is that. And then also in your use case, Robert, you have the members on your site, you have that email list that you can email out. In those emails, share that you guys are posting on Facebook and to like your Facebook page. That way, when they do like it, they are then seeing it on their feed and being able to engage with your content in that manner, as well as your email or your website and all of those different things.
100%. I was going to say we are very early, because I feel like at the beginning of the presentation, I was very like, hello, Sam, I am the social media intern. I am the marketing intern. Let's get straight into it. So now I'm a little bit more chill and I can be a person, you know?
I think you did great.
There you go.
And it was great that we had some questions flowing in. But we've already went over our events and everything that are upcoming. And I hope to see everybody. I hope to see RSVPs for the community co-working. And I hope to see everybody back here for Coding with Sam next Friday.
There you go.
Stay tuned for a video from Kim Coleman.
There you go. All right.
I hope you got some value out of what you just watched. If you're serious about building a profitable membership site, the fastest way to launch or scale is with a premium plan at paidmembershipspro.com. We've made it as affordable as possible to get started, and most people who upgrade stick with us for years. Why? Because they're making money, and we keep delivering expert support, premium add-ons, and a private community of over 1,000 creators building businesses just like yours. Click the link to compare plans or keep learning. We'll see you in the next video.